I'm Ambrose Kenny Smith, and you are listening to 91.5 WUML Lowell. Yow, wow, wow.
Rick, welcome to the Vapor Dungeon. It is wonderful to have you here.
I appreciate you guys taking some time to have me on.
So, I open up all my interviews with the same 3 questions. So, my 3 questions for you are, who are you, what do you do, and what do you stand for?
My name is Rick Muphy, and I am the lead vocalist and band leader for the America's Bob Seger tribute. And I think that if I had to say what I stand for, I would say that I stand for that we all put somebody else first. I think that's what it's about.
So can you elaborate a little bit on that, on what it means to put everyone else first?
I think just in your daily life, when music is a prime example of that. Musicians dedicate their whole lives to the craft, and it's an emotional craft. It affects everyone's happiness and their vulnerabilities, and so to me, just being a musician, being a painter or a musician in the art, in a way, I feel you are putting other people first, because it's important that you hone your craft, because your craft will hopefully reach people and make them happy for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I kind of look at it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to look at it. So kind of moving forward, let's just get straight into what you guys do. So you are a cover band. You're playing the wonderful, wonderful music of Bob Seger and his beautiful Silver Bullet Band. Can you tell us kind of how all of the members met one another and why Bob Seger, out of all people?
Yeah, this all started 15 years ago, and I had another act going on. It was more of a hard rock band, and we just started playing casinos, and wound up working with an agent who had another tribute act that was very successful, and I thought, man, that's the future. I think that was a better future for me. So with that, we both put our heads together and tried to come up with, who could I do well, because it would take, we knew we had to invest 10 years to at least get the project off the ground and have the name kind of become known. So, all right, well, if we're going to do 10 years, we better be ready to do 15 or 20 years, because 10 years is just the business model to get it up and running. Mm-hmm. So with that, we knew that, when I say we, it was me and an agent at the time, we knew that we had to pick a genre that I was capable of singing night in and night out, that type of material. So, after a little while, this other woman that was actually singing with me in the band, she came out of nowhere and said, Rick, you need to sing Bob Seger, because your voice is raspy and you sing raspy all the time, and, that just seems like a natural for you. And I said, wow, let me look into that. So I knew Bob Seger. I knew a lot of his songs. I played a couple of his songs over the years, but I got to tell you, it wasn't like I was a giant Bob Seger fan. You know what I mean? Like, I was a fan of his music and I respected him, but I only owned one album in my youth. And so I spent 30 days and I downloaded his whole catalog. And man, I got to tell you, Toro, not only was I disappointed that I wasted a lot of years not having more of his records, because his records and his songwriting ability is sort of where I stand as a human being, about just, working hard, trying to do the best you can in life, and knowing we're all going to get kicked around a little bit. And then, you got to turn around and you got to help somebody behind you. Always try to find that there's somebody else that needs a little bit more help than you need. And I feel that that's the epitome of his vocals, is just work hard. If you're fortunate enough to be successful, then you must look around and help other people kind of achieve what they're trying to achieve. So that's kind of why that's really what I've learned from Bob Seger. And so the band, the band was put together, and I got to tell you, there was probably 4 people with us today that were with us 14 years ago. And basically, it took a few years to find all the right players, because I think, as you probably know, Arturo, when you're putting a band together, you have to have people that all believe in each other. It's not enough to just find. I wasn't looking for the best players. I was looking for the best human beings and the best people. And I figured, you know what? If somebody now and then is, a little bit behind, that's okay, because they're a good person, and they're gonna want. They believe in the band. They believe in our vision together. Then we'll all strive to be better. And I think that foundation of what Hollywood Nights is what connects us with our fans, more than just being a Bob Seger tribute band. I think our fans realize, that we're here collectively and we all enjoy being here together. So I think that's part of our success.
So I love the way that you describe it, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the kind of magic and struggles of trying to find the musicians who you want to play with and who will believe in one another. And can you kind of tell us about the importance of a tour family, as you are not only playing with bands, but you also need to have good sound people who you can trust, who won't break your instruments. Can you kind of talk about like that tour family mentality and how you think that your tribute band has kind of reached that point, and how family-like it is?
Yeah, definitely. I think, if not to get long tooth with it, I would say that, to any other musicians out there that are, younger, starting out, I would say it this way, don't be afraid to put all your feelings out there. Put yourself out there of who you are to incoming musicians, even when you don't know them. Stand strong on your beliefs and who you are, and not worry about looking, being viewed as being a little wishy-wash or something. Just put yourself out there and have, be organized. Know your goals, know where you want to go, and then when you meet people, you tell them where you want to go, but you need them to get there too. So here's my goal. Here's what I'm going to accomplish. I can't do it on my own, but if I find enough people that believe in the common goal, then together I will lead us there, and we will get there together. And I think that I stuck by that. And granted, it might have caused a little hardship in the beginning, because you always, musicians know, when you're trying to form a band, you run across all types of people that are looking for different types of things at different points of their life. And we'd run into people that were just wanting to, how much money am I going to make? And the moment somebody brings up money right out of the gate, I knew that that's really not what we're looking for here. We're looking for people that want to share a belief and say, if we believe together, we cannot be successful. And I think just by saying that, everybody had, man, I just feel fortunate that the players I have now, they all believed in that. And I think now they feel that that was a good way to put a band together. We do have a tour bus, so we have 12 bunks. Everybody has their own bed. So we are together all the time. And I think that's a great thing that brings a band even closer, because if everybody meets at a gig in their car, you're losing valuable time as human beings and being in the same space together. We're in a tour bus, but I like to say it's just an aluminum tube. We're all stuck in this 45-foot aluminum tube together, and for 4 hours or 10 hours or 18 hours, getting to a gig. And man, you Toro, you become so close as a band if you're riding together. It doesn't have to be a tour bus. You don't have to think that you have to have all this money, but any band should travel together whenever they can, if you're serious about being a real band and being successful, because I think the human nature molds into each other. We all kind of, and that spills out on the performance of the stage. You know what I mean? So family life for us, we're blessed because everybody loves everybody. And man, 14 years, I don't think there's ever been a raised voice in the bus, except maybe mine one time talking about a venue that just wasn't being nice, and that happened one time. So other than that, I think, like I said, to musicians, worry about the band first, human beings coming together, and then the music will grow off of that. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it.
So we all know, or I say we as if I've been on a tour bus, but most performing and traveling musicians know about like what you call the van life, the tour bus life, and how kind of it can be magical and extremely horrific at some times. So I want to talk a little bit about that traveling bus tour life, and I want to say, who do you think is the mother of the band, the person who's willing to make all the coffees in the morning and who's getting people the food? Who would you say is the most, like, very much like the mother of the band, keeping everybody happy, almost the mediator?
I think well, we have 3 coffee machines on the bus. We have a Keurig and 2 separate coffee machines. I don't drink coffee, but we have one cabinet that's filled with everybody's different coffee, and there's all this coffee everywhere. So I mean, I never even tasted coffee, so I'm not aware of all that stuff. But my wife does travel with us. She's a background singer and a percussionist with the band. I guess a lot of musicians would say that in a fun way that she's sort of like the mother, the mother goose of the bus. You know what I mean? But I got to tell you, Toro, I did learn something when we first bought the bus. I realized that one of the players from Guns N' Roses had put together a little pamphlet called Bus 101, and I think it might have been the bass player. And anyway, I read that and I said, "Wow, this is a really nice guy, man," and he's really just explaining everybody the courtesies that you have to do, to live on a bus together. And I copied that and I called it the Bus Bible. And I emailed it to everybody when we first bought the bus. And I just, and that was, it's not about being stern. It's just about, sharing guidelines so we all respect each other. And then if we do that, then we should become a closer family. And so we've had that bus guideline 101, to where, the bunk area is always the quiet area. You don't talk on your cell phone in the bunk area because somebody is always sleeping at different times in the bunk area. So that has to be sacred ground, is the bunk area, And if you're on your computer in the front lounge and you're done with your computer needs to go back in your bunk. You don't leave, we call it debris. You don't leave no debris behind. When you're done sitting somewheres, everything you have and you own goes with you and goes back in your bunk. Nothing stays out. And if you do that, you got a really good chance of being a tight family and being happy on the road.
Can you give a little bit of insight as to how your diet is when you're on the road?
I can tell you. Well, I can tell you in general for the band of the places that we performed at are mostly theaters, and they do give us lunch and dinner. I got to tell you, they do feed us well. A lot of the times we get to pick, one of three meals or from a menu, and everybody definitely always picks, healthy food. If we have to pick, if we have to choose, one meal for everybody, we'll always go with something light, nothing heavy, and very little sweets. And but for me as the singer, I usually don't eat dinner with the band. I usually just eat tuna. I'll eat tuna during the day, a little sun-kissed infusion tuna, and then a little bit of fruit. And then I usually go on stage hungry, and then eat a little bit after the show. But I got to tell you, a lot of bands say they think they gain weight or they eat crappy on the road. I can see how that can happen, but we've been in control of it for so long that we didn't allow it to get crappy. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to get crappy on the road. You know what I mean? But it can also be healthy if you dictate it to be healthy. So I got to admit, I think we eat pretty good on the road. I mean, we do eat pizza after the show. Usually I'll order a couple pies for the band, so there's something at the end of the night when you're done loading out, before we go to the hotel or before we get back on the road for 7 hours. We'll usually have a couple pizzas for the band. You know what I mean? So, but that's about it.
yours. If you want my love, if I turn you on, then when we're alone, got to know. If you want my love, if I turn you on, when we're alone.
So, I want to go back to talking about the bus Bible, as you call it. So obviously, the Bus Bible and Bus 101, all of these like guidelines to help you kind of figure out what exactly you have to do when you're on the road, kind of how to make it the best experience possible. Do you have any memories of times where you just kind of had to go through the growing pains? And although you try to follow the Bus Bible strictly, sometimes we have our errors. We have moments where we have to learn things the hard way. Can you talk about some of those moments as you were getting used to life on the road?
Um, yeah, I'd say probably one of the biggest pet peeves that I tend to have, and I only have this pet peeve because I do share some of the driving of the bus. We do have a bus, we do have a bus driver, and we're not young guys no more, so we do split the driving. So he'll do half, and I'll do the other half. And if the band is, we do record every show, video and 48 track recording. So we watch the show after we're done performing in the bus, so we can see what we did wrong or what we did right. And the band tends to sometimes get the volume going a little bit loud on the TV while you're driving a bus. And one time I had to explain to everybody that it's not easy driving a 45,000 pound vehicle with 12 people's lives in your hand at 1 o'clock in the morning when there's loud music playing. So that was something that we had to get through a little bit. But other than that, hey, I really can't tell you anything that to complain about. Sometimes we'll leave New Jersey, at 3 o'clock in the morning or something. We'll be heading to Florida, and there'll be three or four people that I won't see until we get to Florida. Like they'll be in their bunk the whole time sleeping, and we're just getting up to go to the bathroom, right back in their bunk because everybody in this band loves their bunk. That's sort of like sacred ground, and even though it's a little small, it's funny how everybody loves crawling into their bunk, closing their curtain, having their privacy, the air conditioning's on or the heat, whatever they need, lights, they got their phone, they got their, Netflix and all that. And you just don't see people until you get to Florida. It's pretty cool.
So, what's an unexpected, or not maybe not so much unexpected, but what's a thing that costs a lot of money, being a traveling musician that you think that most people wouldn't be aware of?
Well, you said traveling musicians, so I guess we're not talking about a bus thing.
No, yeah, it can be from whatever walk of life your band has gotten down.
Well, I'd say, me and our sound engineer, Bob Leese, we own the bus together. And I'd say a bus is a very expensive piece of equipment. And, we just replaced our generator. 3 years ago, we just put a brand new motor and transmission in it. I mean, if you're going to own a tour bus, I would say it's sort of like, I don't know if you ever heard the phrase, Arturo, about, if you own a boat is like a hole in the water that which one pours money into. A bus is a hole in the land into which one pours money into. But a bus is a so I'd say the bus is the biggest unexpected thing when you first buy a used bus. The first couple of years we were always calling a roadside mechanic. A breakdown, bad alternator, bad starter. So for the first 2 years, we never left the house without $1,000 of cash in our pocket because those guys that come out in the middle of the night, they want cash to fix your bus. So, but now that we have the bus under control, we've always gotten to the gig and gotten home, and so I'd say that's the biggest obstacle is just making sure you maintain the bus. Somebody has to know a little bit of have a little bit of mechanical ability because if you take it to the shop every time something's wrong, you'll go broke. So that's about the most unexpected thing. And then I guess traveling wise, Toro, we travel in the slow lane. We drive 60 miles an hour. We don't speed. We keep our distance, and we never get involved in traffic. We just stay off to the side and add all that extra time into the departure time so we get there on time. But no speeding and no trying to get there in a hurry. You know.
It's a wonderful philosophy to have, especially if you're trying to, avoid those tickets.
Yes, and also avoid people hitting their brakes fast or something like that.
So, talking a little bit more about the traveling, and the, just those grueling bus trips when you're just kind of on the road for hours and hours and hours at a time. I'm curious, what's one of your most favorite scenic routes to take between cities, and what's one of your least favorite, if you have any?
Well, I would say this is going to sound a little crazy to you, but I would say personally my least favorite, because I maintain the bus. It's in my driveway, so I know everything. I know every nook and cranny of the bus, and I'd say the least favorite point of my time with the bus is when the weather is super hot, July and August, because we're pulling a trailer that weighs close to 10,000 pounds, and you're always watching the temperature gauge of the bus. So if we hit a state park area where we're going like through Virginia, and you got a lot of mountains going up and down long inclines, you're actually watching the temperature gauge of the bus instead of just driving it, because you have to the temperature gauge of the bus dictates how fast you go over everything. That's priority. So sometimes you'll have to back the bus down to 35 miles an hour on an incline because the temperature is going in the spot where it shouldn't be. So to me, that's the most difficult part of our journeys. I'd say the best time for me is pretty much like right now. I mean, I can't wait for this. We have 3 shows coming up next weekend, and they're all up north, in New England area and everything. And the trees are turning right now, so like the roads are going to be great. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of color, and it's just like, a lot of people don't get the chance to, because their work schedule, and they just see the trees around their neighborhood. But when you get on an open highway, and you see up in New England, it's pretty cool compared to what it is right here in New Jersey, you know.
So let's talk a little bit about Bob Seger. Obviously, you guys being a tribute band, I want to know, what do you think is a song from the Bob Seger catalog that not enough people pay attention to, but that should be on the same level of radio play as songs like Old Time Rock and Roll and Night Moves?
Hmm. I could give you a couple.
Go right
So,
ahead.
yeah, if I had to give you a couple, I'd say three songs. I'd say "Roll Me Away," um, and then I'd say "Traveling Man," and then I would pick a song that we just started playing not too long ago. It's a deep cut, and you don't hear it anywhere. It's called "Sunburst." So I'd say those three songs I wish we'd hear more because I think they're great songs with great lyrics, and great melodies, and great musical movements. And I think I wish we could hear them a little bit more. And that's why we play. We play those shows. We play those songs. Sunburst, we play. We're just starting to play a little bit more and more. People are starting to get used to it. And but "Roll Me Away" and "Traveling Man," we play at every show because Bob played them at every show that he ever did. And you don't hear them a lot on the radio, you know.
Yeah. Another one is, what are some of your favorites to play on stage that you think are the most fun? And which ones are the ones which you kind of dread to play because they're hard?
I'd say I think we probably the whole band could agree, man. We open up every show with "Ramblin' Gamblin' Man," and that was Bob's first number one hit, like in '68,
Hmm.
and he played it at every show, and we open up every show with it. And I'd say because it just does so much, it just raises the blood pressure. Every band fights to get the blood pressure up, get the energy up of the audience. That's my biggest task of the night. And "Ramblin' Gamblin' pretty much almost gives me like a shortcut. It's almost like you got a card up your sleeve, and you use it right out of the gate. I'd say "Ramblin' Gamblin' is that song that can bring the energy between the band and the audience together right away. And that's not easy for some bands to do. Some bands, we've struggled with that for a little while. And then we realized "Ramblin' Gamblin' is the song. So we really don't want to change that. And so for songs that are complex a little bit, I'd say the song that's, we got a song called "Fire Inside" Bob wrote, has a lot of piano solo in it. And it's really, it was really, it was not saying our piano player found it challenging, but he had to dig deep. He's an accomplished pianist, and but he had to dig deep for that one. And so I'd say that song is probably the one that everybody's got to just strap in and focus a little bit more and don't drop the ball. You know.
giggling in the back seat, they're probably happy. But if a baby's asleep in the back seat, will you remember they're even there? Forgetting your child in the back seat can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So check the back seat. This has been a message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the Ad Council, and your friends here at WUML Lowell. Did you know that car crashes are the number one cause of teen deaths, and that half of all teens that die in car crashes? But you can do something about it. Next time you're in a car with a friend who's driving recklessly, speak up, say something, anything, because you can save a life. This has been a public service message brought to you by the Ad Council and your friends here at WUML Lowell. You are listening to 91.5 WUML Lowell. This is Vapor 91.5. Welcome back. Rick, so continuing to talk about the Bob Seger catalog, I wanted to know, as songwriters, or not as songwriters, but as music listeners, we tend to attach ourselves really strongly onto lyrics that really resonate with us. And I want to know, what's one of the most, what's one of those lyrics from a Bob Seger song that you hear and that you feel like, oh, this was written for me, directly for me and for no one else? Gotta talk about that sentimentality, because we all know Bob Seger was an incredible songwriter and was incredibly emotive in his songwriting.
That's a pretty heavy question. I'm actually looking at our set list now, thinking about that, because there's a few songs that kind of affect me different ways.
If you feel like talking about the different ways that they affect you, and that is also, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, I'd say Against the Wind.
Mm-hmm.
To me that song really, reflects, it really kind of, look, to me a great song doesn't have one single meaning. To me, great songs are open for interpretation by the listener. So when we share, what songs mean to us, when I hear some people share their interpretation of a song, and it's totally 180 from what I think the song is telling me, I say, man, that makes that a great song. That means that's what great songs do. So, Against the Wind, great song, love singing it, and but man, it's one of those songs that reminds me. I'd say the song reminds me, because as we get older, Arturo, you tend to think back of yesterday and last week and last month and last year and 5 years ago, and what we could have done better. What could I have done better? Would my life be different today if I would have took the left instead of going right at that fork? And to me, Against the Wind, reminds me, don't dwell in that and don't let that absorb you and take control of you, because the wind is always blowing, and you're always going to be walking against the wind. It's inevitable. So, I do get caught up in that like other humans do. Regret, from past decisions. But when I sing Against the Wind, that's what the song means to me. It frees me from the shackles of torturing myself over past decisions.
Beautifully, beautifully said. So, continuing on the topic of music, I want to know. Obviously, I don't think that the tour bus playlist is constantly playing Bob Seger. So, I want to know, what are some of the radio stations that you listen to while you're on the road, or what's the on the bus playlist like? Who's on it? Who is everybody singing along to? Kind of tell us about those playlists or the kind of music that you guys listen to on the road.
Well, we do listen to a lot of Hollywood Nights performances, but there's a few. Like I said, there's a lot of people that a half hour after the show, they're in their bunk, they're going to sleep. There may be 4 or 5 of us that will stay up for a couple hours, especially when it's a long drive home. And the thing that I look forward to, and we do it quite a bit, we have this time and space where we all, we're like right now I'm home with you, and maybe when we're done this interview, I'll go back on YouTube because I love YouTube because I watch concerts and, I see shows that I've never seen before. And, so we have this moment in time on the bus where everybody gets to bring up, a 1 song performance of something on YouTube that they just think is so cool and so great that you want to share it with your friends. So that's the beauty of YouTube and the bus is being able to share, a 3-minute video that you just think deserves the attention of all your friends for 3 minutes, and you want to share it with them. So that's what we do. We go around the horn. We all take turns. Everybody gets their moment to say, okay, type this in. Okay, look for, oh, there it is. That's the video. Click on that, and we'll watch it. And we'll, so then you gain of what really makes your bandmates, like what makes them feel good in life, and what kind of music fires them up and makes them feel good. So that, again, you're learning more about your bandmates, being in a band, you know what I mean? And if I could just jump off a target real quick here, Arturo, if you don't mind,
Of course.
I just think that, to all the musicians out there, don't lose focus with that and what it means to be in a band. You know what I mean? It means to be a family. Don't set yourself up to be a subcontractor to where you just want to jump around and make the most money you can. If you do, you're going to miss out. And you're going to wake up one day and realize that you lost out a lot of being in a band. And that means being in a band with the good times and the bad times. The wealthy times and the times where we sacrifice a little bit of money and all those things. So just want to get that out there. That's for our listeners.
So, continuing on those kind of low times, and of course, I'm not going to have you divulge any tragic information or anything like that, but I am wondering, what are some budgeting things that you would recommend to musicians that were things that you probably spent an unnecessary amount of money that you think could save money for performing musicians in the future?
Look, gear is a lot different today. I literally threw out, if I added up what I spent on it when I bought the gear, which was, a couple decades ago, I literally threw in the garbage can thousands and thousands of dollars of outboard gear because nobody wants it no more. Mixed boards have all the gear in it today, which is great. I mean, I love all the new gear, but back when we were younger, you had to buy all individual outboard gear. So, to me, I would just think, if you're going to, more than money, I would say, to me, money was never, I would work a job and, man, any spare money I had, I would put right back into whatever musical project I had going on. And I didn't care if I didn't have enough money to pay the bills at the time. The musical project was first. So I think a lot of musicians are like that. I would say, the biggest lesson that I've learned in talking about Against the Wind, I can't go back and change it, but I would say, man, to every musician, don't make the fatal mistake that I made. And that is, like I said, don't be afraid, to put yourself out there and be who you want to be. If you're caught up with other musicians and you're following somebody else's dream that doesn't match with your dream, then you stay with that dream until you have the courage to do your own. You never stop playing. You got to keep playing. But don't waste too much of your life without believing in yourself. Because to me, that'll cost you way more than any outboard gear you'll ever throw out. So I don't think there's a lot of money, Arturo, that one musician could say to another, to say be careful of this. I mean, anything you do in music is going to be, can be viewed as positive or negative depending on how you look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place,
No,
but
that's great.
I
Love it.
kind I kind of wanted to circle back to a little bit of the music side of of like the music fan of all of you guys. So something that I'm not sure if you're aware of. This is an electronic music show. And we play a lot of electronic music, and I am more than happy to host you guys onto this show. And I think that it is fantastic that you guys are taking some time to talk to us, and because a lot of old school classic musicians like Paul McCartney, they were known to be huge fans of electronic music. And I'm just curious, do you have any electronic music that you enjoy, or kind of anything adjacent to that?
I have to admit to you that I'm a little green, a little green when it comes to electronic music, and not, and probably more just due out of not devoting enough time to circle around the whole complex of everything that's out there. I mean, I don't bury myself in classic rock and roll for sure. I mean, I never listen to. You can't find me listening to Bob Seger on my off time. I'm more of a live situation guy. I love live concerts, and I like to watch older concerts that I couldn't go to when I was a kid because couldn't afford the tickets. but I do like new stuff. I mean, I'm always open to. Look, I got to admit to you, there's not really anything out there that I hear and I want to just tune off and say I don't like that. Because I think all music is got a place for all of us because it's made by another human. You know what I mean? So if another human made some music, you know what? I'll tell you what. Give me if I'll just ask you one question. If you could give me one or two artists that you feel are in the mainstream spotlight right now for electronic music, and I guarantee when we're done this interview, I'm going to devote 20 minutes to YouTube to check this out and see what I'm missing out and what I've been lacking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. So I think that as someone who is a lover of classic rock was very much my first love.
Yeah.
I think that what I would put you on to is for a little bit more of the classic side. I would probably recommend, and I'll obviously type these out and so that you can actually have them and you don't need to, just try to remember.
Yep.
I would give you the Sparks album, The Number One Song in Heaven, produced by the incredible Giorgio Moroder. And I would probably also direct you to Daft Punk's Random Access Memories.
Wow. Okay. Now, is all this music that you're talking about, is all this created pretty much by like a single person or is it collective?
So the first one it was an established duo of musicians who ended up collaborating with the producer who created a lot of the more intense soundscapes and a lot of the more electronic soundscapes on the album. So it's like a collaborative effort between someone who knows exactly and everything that they're doing on the electronic side with this band who was known for being underground classic rock darlings. Daft Punk, that's a duo of two musicians. They were taking a lot of these elements from older classic records, and despite the fact that it's all electronic, every single sound on that album is analog. It was recorded on the tape. It was made using modular synthesizers just to kind of create a warm atmosphere that harkens back to the sounds of a lot of these classic records, not only from the disco scene, but also from early electronic music and from classic rock in certain areas. So
Okay.
I think that you would find a lot to love there, especially with the musicianship of people like their drummers and their guitarists and their pianists. Of course, it's I think that you would definitely be able to find something to appreciate.
Well, I actually just did a Google search while we're on the phone, and electronic music artist, and the second one that came up was Daft Punk, right below Calvin Harris. So, but that one that's below Daft Punk, I'm not going to say it right. BJORK.
Bjork.
I did see her on YouTube, so I definitely going to check her out again too, along with Daft Punk. And because I remember that name, and I remember watching one of her shows. Might have been an outdoor festival or something.
Bjork is definitely like the deep end of electronic music because Bjork gets very weird.
Okay.
So I would very much recommend listening to it just because it is very incredible, the kind of stuff that she does. But if you're looking for a direction in that sense, her first album is known as a great place to start because it's not too weird, but it is still kind of giving you an example of who this person is and who she would later become.
Yeah, and how about Daft Punk? Do you think, not to reverse the roles here, but I'm curious, do you find that the first album of a particular artist is sometimes always the best?
So I think that for a lot of people, they can definitely get trapped in that. Like I think people like Weezer like they drew the line very, very, very hard with their first album, and then in my opinion, the closest they got was things like Pinkerton. But I think more likely than not, the bands that we remember and the bands we talk about are usually going to be the ones whose first album is great, but it may not necessarily be their greatest.
Yeah.
And the albums that we talk about from one great album is talked about a lot less than an artist with great albums.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So, kind of winding down this interview, I kind of wanted to say that your story of being able to cultivate a family of musicians that all believe in each other is an extremely, extremely beautiful story, and I'm very happy that you can continue to idolize these artists and keep these artists' legacy alive for people who haven't been able to see shows. And
Yes.
of course, you being someone who loves to revisit shows on YouTube now with the beautiful, beautiful ability to be able to access like Led Zeppelin bootlegs that would usually cost you hundreds of dollars from a random record store to hear in terrible quality. Now, all of this information and all of this music is completely accessible to anyone. So
Yes.
Can you kind of talk about what you think the state of music is like right now and what you think we'll be experiencing going forward?
Well, I think probably all of us are in the same boat when it comes to anxiety with not knowing what AI is going to do. I do worry because look, I'm not a computer geek. I mean, I can go online and do my website and everything, and and all that. But I'm nowhere near a technical kind of guy. But I do hear a few stories where you read about somebody that is very in tune with AI and took the 10 top Beatles songs and generated them through some sort of processing to where the program figures out why the top 10 Beatles songs, why everybody liked them. And now AI will write a song that is in comparison with those 10 songs. Now, is that artist now going to then just create that song on music and say they wrote that music? Like, where are we going with all this? What will be the end result? Does the listener really not care? The end result is whatever is put out. If it makes someone happy, that's all that matters. Which there's some goodness to that. That's goodness too. But you worry about whether or not we're going to lose, the human soul of, that connection between what's inside of you right now and you writing the song, because your emotions are telling you what to put on paper. And then I can maybe relate to that because I'm also a human. Is the AI going to get in the middle of that and create some sort of feelings in us as listeners when we're done listening to it? We won't realize that the feelings then start changing and how you interpret it, which helps, you listen to a song that makes you feel good, but will AI have some sort of impact on our feelings when we start listening to some people that are going to put material that they really didn't write? A software program wrote it for them and then they released it under their own name. Where's this all going? I think that's my, like millions of people are probably thinking the same thing. Where are we headed? It's sort of exciting in a way to not know what's going to happen, So what look, I mean, you can't see me, but I'm not afraid to tell you, I'm 59 years old. So, I have probably a son and daughter your age. How do you feel, Toro? About the whole AI thing in the music industry? What does it do to you?
So, as someone whose show revolves around a lot of sample-based music, and taking a lot of these obscure artists and kind of taking 15-30 seconds of one of their songs and kind of creating a whole new thing. It is very scary to see programs that can identify samples that are long thought forgotten or long thought impossible to rediscover from certain artists. And it's very, very simple and easy to want to create a program which will help a lot of record executives squeeze every single penny that they can get out of people. So for that sample-based music world, it is very scary, the idea of AI. But I truly believe that no matter what, people who want to make art will find a way to get their art out there. It was once thought impossible for a vaporwave artist, the genre that we primarily play on this show, could ever get a physical release, and now we have tons of independent and do-it-yourself record label owners who are distributing things on home dubbed cassettes, who are donating their profits to charity to continue pressing albums and not need to worry about copyright infringement. We are in an era where people will always find a way to get their art out there, no matter what the man says. We will get our music out there. And with the TikTok generation, it can be very concerning that a lot of people want very fast and convenient and 15 seconds to latch onto, and that's it. But we also see beautiful acts who can thrive in their own sense and not be on TikTok, or who can thrive in their own sense and not feel pressured to constantly pander towards the algorithm. A lot of the new artists who have come out in the last few years didn't worry about those 15 seconds that need to be on TikTok. They focused on perfecting their art. And there will always be beautiful artists, and there will always be incredible music that will be out there for people to find. And now in the internet age, where there's so much that people can't always get to it, it can seem a little scary, and it can seem like it's hard to get into the music industry. It can be very scary and very uncertain. But at the end of the day, the music industry is the wild, wild west in certain areas. And there are still artists who are coming up and changing the game. Billie Eilish, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, even people like Taylor Swift, who are taking back the definition of pop star and returning getting the rights back to their master tapes. That's almost unheard of in this day and age. But we will always find a way to get great music out there, and we will always find a way to discover new music. And musicians will always be hungry to get what they want, and that is to be known and to say their message.
Well, you mentioned King Gizzard. That's a band that I sort of gravitated to about a year ago. I think those guys are off the chart. Their music, like, you listen to one song and it's like mainstream commercial rock, and then next thing you know, they got another song that's just, a jam. I mean, those guys have the ability to just dance all over the place, but dance very well. And it's I'm happy that you mentioned those guys, because I think those guys are spot on, and I love their craft, and they just feel like they know where they're going, and they're not, but at the same time they know where they're going. They're not afraid to go into the unknown. You know what I mean? They're just great. I really love that band. I wish I could go see them live one of these days, if I can, if I can never be off the same night they're touring around,
As someone who has gone to several of their shows, including some of their most famous, I was at their Red Rocks, Colorado 2022 show, which is currently the third highest rated live album on Rate Your Music. I don't know if you've heard of that website, but it's kind of like a music forum for internet music users to just talk about music and rank music.
Yeah.
And they're my favorite band personally.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, well then we that's great. We got a little bit in common. That song that they came out with a while back, Oh, you know what it was? Interior People.
Mm-hmm.
The video to that, the animated video to that song, and the song's just, that's the song that drew me into them. And then I realized they had that other song about dancing. I can't dance, or you
Hate
know,
Nathan.
I hate dancing. Their ability and then to go to totally 180 of those songs. You know what I mean? Like they have they're very amazing, man. They're very amazing. I'm glad to see that we met some definite solid ground that we shared. This is great. You know what I mean?
Couldn't agree more. Well, Rick, thank you so much for giving me your time and for the wonderful interview. And as we wrap up, can you tell the people what you have going on and what's in store for your Hollywood Nights band?
Yeah, well, we have the Saturday, November 4th coming up at Tupelo Music Hall. Two beautiful people, Scott and Julie Hayward, that run that place. If you've never been there, they really know how to run a business, and it's just a clean building, and their heart and soul is in every nook and cranny of that venue. So I would say it's just a great music venue, and we always look forward to going up that way. And we hope that I think it's an 8 o'clock show, and it'll definitely be a night of Bob Seger for sure.
Rick, thank you so much once again. Thank you for visiting us, and you have been listening to 91.5 WUML Lowell. This is Vapor 91.5 with Rick Muphy of Hollywood Nights. Thank you very much.
Toro, see you down the road, my friend.
When you stop to think about it, it's pretty easy to be more energy efficient at home. There are lots of simple things you can do, like installing energy-saving light bulbs, talking to your parents about Energy Star appliances, turning off lights and entertainment devices when not in use, unplugging chargers and using power strips, and even taking advantage of natural heat and cooling by opening and closing windows and blinds. With a few simple steps, you can join the millions of kids who are using their energy wisely. So what's your excuse? This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Energy, the Ad Council, and your friends here at WUML Lowell. Hypothermia is a serious medical condition that strikes during very cold weather, or when people are chilled from rain, sweat, or cold water. Shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness are all signs of hypothermia. Babies with hypothermia have bright red, cold skin, and very low energy. Seek immediate medical attention for signs of hypothermia. To learn more, call 800-CDC-INFO. This has been an important message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and your friends here at WUML.